What's going on, and welcome to the Stick Drift Podcast, a podcast for all things cars, racing games, motorsports, and more. What's going on, and welcome to the Stick Drift Podcast. This is the episode going out the day Motorfest releases. Yes, the day Motorfest comes out, that's this episode right here. And because of that, I'm very busy. I took the weekend off because I haven't taken a weekend off in months. I'm not going to be taking one off for a very long time from now. Not joined by Josh today. Instead, this episode of the Stick Drift Podcast, I was joined by the creative director of The Crew 2. I'll talk about that in a second, but... And honestly, just an amazing opportunity to interview the creative director. Massive. But... talking about that, I want to say that obviously you'll see regularly scheduled Stick Drift stuff return very, very soon from next week as usual. Massive plans from Stick Drift in the coming year, I would say. Keep an eye on Stick Drift because, well, I would say it's something very, very, very massive. But next episode on the Stick Drift Podcast, we'll be talking about Toyota Supra. Obviously, we'll have next week's news and this week's news, but we have the Toyota Supra. We've got a sub replica of something. What am I looking at? I'm just I'll let you. Oh, the Cupra, the weird Cupra car, the Cupra Supra, right? There's a Polestar concept too. It was the weaker concepts, all right. Look, if it was a normal episode this week, it would have been the weaker concepts because we got the Cupra Supra. We got a monstrous Mercedes. We might do this as a bonus episode, the week of concepts. Again, if you boys watch the podcast, watch it all the way through. We get monetized eventually. We do bonus content. That's the plan. Also, a BMW concept. I think that was last week, but also all the concepts are here as well. So we got that. We got a bunch of that stuff to talk about. And the Lanzador's driving around now, so all of that stuff will be talked about. I mean, we'll obviously talk about Motorfest as well, because obviously Motorfest is a pretty big thing. The game's bloody out. The game is out, and cool things in this interview. So, this interview going on here, I got an interview with the creative director of The Crew 2 and The Crew Motorfest. This is Mr. Fergus, Mr. Stefan Fergus Bailey. And I talked to him, and just before I hit record, he just mentioned, because we jumped into it right away. I hadn't hit record yet, but that's why at the beginning it'll be very abrupt a beginning, like it will just go into it straight away. It's because he was just saying, like, oh, by the way, it's cool to talk to you, I'll watch your stuff, and that's crazy already. There's some big stuff he says in this, which he says as a throwaway. And it's probably the title of this. He says it as a throwaway, but I feel bad because I'm going to have to run away with it as a thumbnail title. He can't say The Crew Europe without me pelting it down with that. Like, what? The Crew Europe? You can't say that. You can't just say something like that. But, so obviously I run away with The Crew Europe. Now I've filmed this, I'm going to go take the rest of the afternoon off. I'm going to chill. I'm going to play games with my girlfriend. I ended up outside the Sidemen charity match yesterday. I didn't even mean to. I was going to shopping in the Stratford Centre anyway, and ended up going there. Today I went to a classic car meet. That'll be on my Instagram story. But, there you go. I will say though, boys, make sure you keep your pulse on the Stick Drift Podcast. By the way, the thing is still in the thing. The code's still in the podcast. Make sure you go figure that code out. And I will say one of the big things that was the plan with this code and everything as well, and one of the amazing things I've seen is people have been saying stuff like, hey, found the code, but also I'm really enjoying listening to this. This is a cool podcast to listen to, and that's all I could have hoped for. So I'm really glad that has come about. This is a shorter episode, so I'm fine. I'm fine with waffling because I am just I'm just utterly waffling because, well, there's not a lot else that needs to be done. There's not a lot else that needs to be done. Yeah, enjoy, boys, enjoy. So this is my interview with Stefan Fergus Bailey. Ooh.
During 3 hours. It was super cool to see you. Was the end of the crew. So nice.
It's nice to know that you've watched the content. I didn't know that you had.
Yeah. Most of it, really.
Yeah, I did. I basically just came up in the crew too. So like I'm only last 2 years that I've actually been doing anything. And it has just been on the crew too that I've grown. Considering that it's just been on the crew too, it's very cool that I've grown to the size I have just off that. But yes, just how you doing, man? How are you doing? How about you doing?
Fine, but a little bit tired, I would say, because it's like an end of the project for us, and the launch is next week, so we are a little bit tired but excited at the same time.
Yeah.
Really, it's a roller coaster. Each time you reach this time where you will launch your game, it's a roller coaster of feeling. Where it's so cool, it's an excitement. You can't wait to see all the players coming through your universe. And at the same time, you are exhausted because it was the closing phase, and you have to finalize and fix every last bug minute. But it's pretty cool. We are doing the press tour, talking with many different persons, and now we can talk about the game, so which is super cool. During 4 years, we can't talk at all.
Yeah.
But now, and finally, and discuss with you guys and many press guys. It's super cool and very excited.
And already starting to talk about the future. So it's like
A bit, but not too much.
Of course. I mean, I'll see what I can get out of you for the future. But I imagine
it's more junior than me. I keep every secret.
I imagine it's just as much as you could have said for Motorfest about 4 years ago. So, but yeah, you know what? I do get you. Obviously, being a part of testing and stuff to nowhere near the level you guys have had, but I've also had the sort of keeping my mouth shut and just waiting till everyone else finds out and then going like, oh, well, there you go. I can imagine it's been terrible for you guys, but I did actually just the day of today, recording this, I uploaded a video going back to the Crew 1. I started with the Crew 1 way back when. I saw a YouTube video on it. Thought it was so cool, eventually bought it, and it was about a year before the Crew 2 that I got into the Crew franchise. But I wanted to know, just as brief as it can be or needs to be, how did it all begin? The start of the Crew 1 leading into that. That's the whole thing.
I will go very fast, but at that time, 17 years ago, I pitched a game to Yves Guillemot directly in the big room of Yves, the boss of Ubisoft, and it was called Route 66 at that time. And I came with a PowerPoint of 2 slides, big open world, USA, cars, and social aspect. In my baggage, I have Test Drive Unlimited, so it was super appealing for him. And he said, okay, let's go. And in 2 hours, he said, let's go for this beautiful vision that you already delivered through Test Drive, but with Ubisoft, you will have more ambition and more way to deliver the experience that you've got in mind. And at that time, I was super impressed by World of Warcraft. And I was playing for many years this game. And inside Ubisoft, they called the game World of Carcraft. And it was really, just to give you some small anecdote, and it was the beginning for a long journey, a long story. We named it The Crew. But during a long time, it was Route 66.
That's I heard that it was referred to as the test name or the kind of testing project name of the game coming up. But so the crew 1 follows through it. Obviously, it gets the Wild Run update, which of course I believe that one overhauled graphics. It got the calling all units, and then eventually I believe so that was 2014. In those 4 years, how did that then develop into the Crew 2?
Yeah,
Steve,
he arrived and joined during the development of the Crew 2.
The timeline will get to, yes.
At that time, it was rough, but we decided from day one at the launch of the Crew 1 to get a live service. And we release patch every month. And it was super exhausting for the team, but we were in touch with the community. We were in touch with all the modifications that we would like to improve the game. And we released patch after patch improvement for the crewman and decided at the time to say, hey, now it's time to reboot the experience with the Crew 2. And we delivered all this experience around the motorsports experience, all the disciplines with Julien at that time. He came on the project after 1 year of development of the Crew 2, and we keep this recipe and refining it inside the Crew 2, and continuously improving our game after 5 years now of the Crew since the launch, the Crew 2. It's really always the same recipe that we continuously improve thanks to the community, thanks to the passion of the team that we have behind, to be sure that we continuously improve what you played so far.
And worked on the summit and released the summit.
And the summit was a key cornerstone, we could say, where it gives you all this idea every week to have a new and fresh adventure with your car. And in the Crew Motorfest, you will see that you will have the same type of refinement, but for every type of players, not only for competition. Through your exploration or through your stories inside the playlist, you will be able to tweak your experience.
Yeah, I mean, I came on to the Crew 2 as far as content decently late. I came on at the chase, and it was the summit. Even before then, I'd done a few videos, and it was on the summit. The summit being a big part. Obviously, it was in the Crew 1, but it was the big thing for the Crew 2, where it's the weekly theme. It's what the theme of the bundles in the store would be that week. It would be the theme of sometimes which cars were being added that week as well. So there'd be.
It's exactly that. And you know, the pitch to the team at that time, the first time I pitched it to the team, it was I would like to get 1 hour of gameplay different every week for our players, to be sure that every players, whenever they come inside the game from Wednesday to the Tuesday, they have 1 full hour of gameplay completely different. And if they want to invest more time, they will have it also. But it should be always different.
And it definitely held a place as a big part of why the Crew 2 eventually got the media branding of one of the best games for post-launch content. But of course, doing all of that post-launch, that then eventually develops into Motorfest, which the big question with Motorfest, because I've been very much following this one the whole way, but a bit more of a broad question: what will Motorfest specifically be doing differently that makes it stand out from not only the Crew 1 and 2, but also the competition?
Yeah, for this one.
It's a very good question. I would say that one of the basis, when we all thought about what we wanted to do with the Crew Motorfest, the creative team, we do the conception phase. We were at a point where we wanted to tell stories about the car culture, about the cars. And then for us, it was important to shape a new structure, a new place to do that, a new approach, a new storytelling, a new fantasy. And then Fergus came with the festival ID around all the different aspects of a festival, for all kind of players, for competition, for customization, in a beautiful place such as Hawaii. So it was like the place where the Motorfest was going to be. And then why it's different from what we did previously, it's what we call the playlist. And we tested that with the community since the Insider program in January, but also with players for the past 4 years. They were coming to the studio every 2 weeks. And this formula is quite unique because it's like from Made in Japan to the story of Lamborghini. It's very 2 different universes. It's 2 different stories. It's different rivals. It's different art. It's different music. It's a different gameplay. So we wanted to make sure that for all these playlists, the structure of the game was welcoming this kind of new approach and new progression. So for sure, when we are doing this kind of switch, it was useful for us to have a new game starting from fresh with the Motorfest ID, with a new progression system, allowing us to update the game on a regular basis. And I will finish with another part. We wanted to make sure that we were able to have a new engine or an updated version of our engine to make sure that we were able to sustain the new console and high-end PCs.
Yeah, and I will say that the engine it's all noticeable in the performance of the game. Absolutely, the playlist, it makes sense that it's like how the motor passes, of course, have their themes and whatnot. Those updates have themes, but it's like that theme being completely extracted into the purest sense of it and just into gameplay for those few events.
But you got right. To deliver the first playlist, it took us a lot of time to be sure to find what are the pillars of this essence and to be sure that the gameplay, the audio, the narration, visual, everything fits together at the same time. And it's not one above the others. And we worked a lot with the dev team and artists, programmers, designers, and directors to find the good recipe. And this, at the beginning, we had in mind more than 30 playlists. And at launch now, we've got 15, and we will see how we will expand and densify and add. But it's so cool now that we are able to add all the car culture experiences inside our game with a live that will make everything more alive season after season. And the Motorfest is really at the heart for everyone. It's not only about the playlist, it's about competition, collaboration, customization, exploration, and the stories behind it. You've got all the different pillars of the car culture straight, delivered inside one experience, a unique one that never played before.
And it comes through, and obviously it utilizes the Oahu location as the main place of all of these playlists. But the crew originally was built on, of course, the two large-scale America maps. Going back to the Crew 1, I noticed just how much had been refreshed for the Crew 2 of the map. Would we ever see a return to a large-scale map?
We never know. For now, it's not inside our plan.
Okay.
But we never know. We will see how far we will go with the live of the Crew Motorfest. It will really depend about how many people, what they play, how they will play the game, how they use the map. Each playlist already increased finally the size of this map because each time we replace all the objects and we create a unique mood inside the playlist that use wow, but we refresh it. So each time our map finally is completely changed depending on the playlist. And we will see how far we will go, just years will tell.
Yeah, and I would add something again when we talk about our approach. When we looked at the conception phase, we wanted since the beginning. So for sure, the size is different, but we didn't think about the size. We think about what the player is going to do when he's driving, because we wanted to make sure that you had the pleasure of driving with the density and activity noising the road all the time. And Fergus shared some metrics, as like our creative director saying, every 30 seconds, I want to have an activity. So we think about how it's going to be beautifully crafted, plus the density. So it was more an approach of building a world with activities all around the player and pushing in a way the player to drive from one activity to another and populating the whole island with this kind of activity. And the progression system is like that. You will, as soon as you drive, you have more and more activities going on the island.
Yeah. So speaking of the map, what I will say is now I mean, it's hard to miss. There does happen to be two islands just off the edge of the map, one suspiciously shaped like Kauai and one suspiciously shaped like Maui. So what about those? What is there to be said about those, if anything?
It's a matter of credibility. Hawaii is an archipelago, so for sure we are currently on Oahu, but it's an archipelago, so it would make no sense to, when it's like very high, when you are looking at the structure of the world, to have nothing all around. So it's like, for credibility structure, it's like that.
So I imagine you wouldn't be able to say anything on whether those would go towards a map expansion of any kind.
Our focus, as Fergus said, I mean, the content where what we are developing currently is working on Oahu and working on all the content there. For all the content we are announced already for the young one support, everything is on Oahu, and we are delivering this content there.
Okay, yeah, I get that. So, speaking of the content, what is in the roster? As we've gotten the image that showed off the year one pass, it showed not only season 1, 2, and 3, but it also showed, I believe, season 4, the beginning date of that. So, that first year and beyond, what is to be expected?
So, currently we announced season 1. It's our love letter to car culture.
Yes.
Then we announced season 2 starting in December with Hoonigan, and we teased season 3. And I'm not going to talk about season 3 yet. But then when you are talking about season 1,
it's a good tease.
season 2, and season 3, it's a tease.
That's a good tease.
You can look on it and try to find things.
Exactly, pink with some trees. And it's a nice one.
So it's a tease, and there it's like year one support. But for sure, we are going to still work on that, and it's going to be one of the way we want to communicate always in advance and our support. And as Fergus said, what we did in the past, we want to support the game, support our players with new content, new activities, quality of life support, etc. So it's like what we did on the Crew 1, what we did on the Crew 2. We want to have this kind of approach with our community, and our community, they know that it's the way we are working with them in terms of content and updating our games.
You know that we will be here every 3 or 4 months bringing some new content, and you will see what will be in season 3. But really just play already the 15 playlist, play all the ground race or demolition royale that you like. I saw you play, okay?
That was underrated. I love it.
It was super fun, and I saw you were killed very easily, but okay. The first try, okay. But.
No, it's funny because it was, so we worked for the past months also with Hoonigan, with the content, because it's like coming in December, and I saw, when we announced it, I'm very happy that we announced it, because like we are showing that we are supporting, and it's good for our teams, because they are seeing that we are supporting the game and for the players. And it's funny because a lot of feedback we received that, we want to play it now. So it's always the same. We always want to know more for the future, but just enjoy. The game is not released yet. Next week, you will have the content. So enjoy the content. It's coming. You have a lot of things to do before the next updates.
Yeah, and every week, every month, you will have the main stage. You have so many stuff to discover that you have not played right now. But for us, it's already a big chunk. It's a big step forward. Announcing like that until season 3, which is a bit teased, but it's a big chunk from the team. Hooligan is so huge, but we have to get some proper time to create everything, and it's already a big chunk of work.
Of course. Now, I definitely look forward to it. I did even think, preparing questions and whatnot. I did even think that the games just came out, and I'm already thinking, so what's coming next? But I suppose that's the nature of it. That's the nature of it all, because mostly it's that I'm locked in. It's like everything that's on launch, I'm in on that. I've got my plan set. I'm gonna be sinking hours into it, and I plan to hopefully be one of the first to finish a lot of things. Is my plan. So I suppose that's where it comes on, where it's like, well, what's next then? But I don't want it to come up as no, I'm definitely ready to enjoy what's already there. And
try to be the first at main stage each month. Would be a long time effort.
I definitely will. That's what I'm looking for. Hopefully, that's the big one. But this one's purely silly. It's, what would the next game even be called? Would it be the Crew and then a different fest? Would it be the Crew : the Crew Motorfest 2? That's got too many syllables. Would it be the Crew 3? Would it be the Crew 4? What would it? What would it be? Would it be Motorfest?
What it would be really? The Crew Europe, the Crew Asia, we don't know. We really don't know. We will see. Time will tell. Right now, to be honest, we don't know at all.
Yeah. But I suppose I'll finish it off with out of the scope of the Crew a little bit. The last sort of thing is just general cars. Well, what's stuff like cars as how you guys got into cars as a whole, the beginning of that, maybe even the cars you have, the car history, and your dream cars. What would those be?
You start?
I start. So it's funny. I will start with a joke, or not with a joke, with an anecdote. When we did the conception, the workshop all together with the creative team, we sat together and we said, okay, if you were a car, what would it be? So I will give you my answer. So it would be a 911. And why it would be a 911? It's because my brother was in love with 911, and he had the chance to buy one when he was 18, then when he was 20, a new one. When he was 22, he's like he's older than me. And as a kid, it was like amazing for me to go inside the car and just look at him driving. It was like good moments with my brother. So my favorite model is the 911, but it's not my dream vehicle. This is a story from my childhood. My favorite vehicle is, of course,
A Lamborghini.
a Lamborghini.
Ah oui, ça. A Lamborghini.
Yeah.
The old one.
Everyone know here that it's Lamborghini.
Of course,
Everyone.
Lamborghini.
Lamborghini playlist has been done by Julien, and it was a great time to do.
Now, I love cars, but Lamborghini is my dream brand because I do not have one. And I will probably never. It's like a Prius.
I will be quicker, really. I tried, but my dream car is really a Ford Mustang, but an old one, 64 or 65, with all the beautiful rally mood and stuff like that. It's a car, really a dream car, and one day we'll have one for sure. And yeah, do it.
It's part of the lineup, the future one.
Yeah.
Oh well.
This one.
Well, hope
Yeah.
to see it. And
You know that? Yeah, I know that. They did it for me, just to me to be able to play it in my sofa at home.
It's a very old, iconic one.
It's a very iconic one, but not the speedy one. The very easy. And I love this car.
both very the older Mustang's definitely a very beautiful car, and Lamborghini and Porsche in their own right are massive staples. All of
And
it,
you.
all of it comes
And you.
my dream car.
Yeah.
My dream cars. It's out there a little. It's actually. I change here and there, but my current one is because of the Crew 2. I just thought it was that cool in the Crew 2. It's the Mazda RX-7 FC. So the 10-year anniversary edition, the turbo, the little cheese wedge doorstop looking thing, the boxy thing. That thing would be my dream car, absolutely.
Good choice.
That's a nice one.
That's a nice one.
I also love Japanese manufacturer. It's like yeah. Maybe I like all the content in the game.
We are car passionate, Really, we try so many cars, and we had so many cars through the game. But each time we'll try to give the story behind it, and not only having a car, but everything in between. Car culture is everywhere. Car culture is for everyone. It's not only about car, but the overall.
Yeah. And I will say, I can't wait to play the game coming Monday. It's
Thank you.
It's very, what is it? God, there's only a weekend left. I'm taking the weekend off for once, and I'm just gonna be sinking so much time. And speaking of time, thank you to both of you for giving me the finite time you must have at the very much ramping up launch of the game. So that was very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you in Honolulu.
Of course, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to both of you.
Thank you, Sid.
Thank you.
Thank you.